Welcome to my channel. Have you ever wondered how speaking English every day could change your life? Well, you're about to discover the magic behind it. Stick around till the end, because by the time we're done, you'll understand exactly why you should speak English daily, no matter where you are in your learning journey. Trust me, it's going to be a game changer. Chapter 1. The Power of Daily Practice. In this chapter, we'll dive into how speaking English every day transforms your skills. I'll share personal experiences of how practicing with real conversations, even if they're simple, helps you improve. You'll see how learning English doesn't need to be daunting or hard. It just needs consistency. Whether it's speaking with friends, strangers, or even repeating sentences from movies or songs, each moment you speak counts. The more you speak, the more your confidence grows, and you start feeling more connected to the language. When I first started learning English, I was nervous. The thought of speaking in a language I wasn't familiar with felt overwhelming. But the more I practiced, even in small ways, the easier it became. For example, I'd practice speaking while walking around the city, ordering a coffee in English, or talking to myself in the mirror. These might sound like small things, but they add up quickly. Each time you speak, you improve, even if you make mistakes. The key is to speak often. The more you speak, the faster you learn. For me, it wasn't about perfecting my grammar or vocabulary right away. It was about getting comfortable with the language. At first, my sentences were simple, but with each conversation, I started feeling more confident. Soon enough, I began to notice my progress. Speaking became less intimidating, and I was able to communicate more clearly. The journey of a beginner who has never spoken English before is filled with small wins. When you practice every day, you start to feel the magic. Gradually, what once seemed difficult becomes second nature. Consistency is the secret to unlocking your fluency. Even if you only have 5 minutes a day to practice, those 5 minutes are valuable. Over time, you'll realize that daily practice is all it takes to transform your English-speaking skills. So, whether you're just starting or you've been learning for a while, remember this: speak every day and watch your confidence and fluency grow. The power of daily practice is real, and it's the key to mastering English. Chapter 2. Embrace the fear of mistakes. Mistakes are part of the process. In this chapter, we'll uncover how overcoming the fear of making mistakes is a major key to progress. You don't need to be perfect to speak fluently. Mistakes are simply stepping stones to improvement, and the more you embrace them, the more comfortable you'll become. When I first started speaking English, I was terrified of making mistakes. Every time I spoke, I worried that I would say something wrong. But as I kept practicing, I realized that mistakes weren't the end of the world. They were just part of learning. Every time I made a mistake, I learned something new. I started to see mistakes not as failures, but as signs that I was trying, that I was pushing myself to use the language in real-life situations. And that's exactly what learning is all about: trying, failing, and trying again. Mistakes are proof that you're stepping out of your comfort zone and challenging yourself to grow. They're not something to fear, but something to embrace. For example, in my early days, I'd sometimes get the wrong word or make a pronunciation error. At first, it felt embarrassing, but the more I spoke, the more I realized that everyone makes mistakes. Even fluent speakers make mistakes from time to time. The key is to not let them stop you, but to keep going and learn from them. The more I made mistakes, the more confident I became. I stopped worrying about being perfect and started focusing on communicating. I realized that the goal of speaking a language is not to be flawless, but to be understood. Every mistake I made brought me one step closer to fluency. It helped me improve my pronunciation, expand my vocabulary, and make my sentences sound more natural. By the end of this chapter, you'll see mistakes for what they really are: tools that help you grow. Instead of feeling discouraged when you make a mistake, get excited. Each one means you're getting closer to mastering the language. So, speak without fear, make mistakes, and celebrate them as signs of progress. When you stop worrying about being perfect, you open the door to real improvement. Keep going and watch how far you can go. Chapter 3: Immersing Yourself in English. The magic of English speaking doesn't only come from textbooks or classes, it comes from immersion, hearing, listening, and practicing English in your everyday life. In this chapter, we'll talk about how you can create an immersive English environment without leaving your home. Whether it's watching your favorite movies, listening to podcasts, or even reading books aloud, immersion is an essential technique for learning. When I first started learning English, I didn't have the opportunity to speak with native speakers every day, but I didn't let that stop me. I realized that immersion could happen anywhere, at any time. The key is to bring English into your daily life as much as possible. You don't need to be in an English-speaking country to immerse yourself. It's all about making English a part of your environment. One of the simplest ways to immerse yourself is through entertainment. Watching movies or TV shows in English, even with subtitles, helps you get used to the language's rhythm and pronunciation. Try to watch shows or movies you love, but in English. Not only does it make the learning process more enjoyable, but it also helps you pick up slang, expressions, and cultural nuances that textbooks just can't teach you. For example, I remember watching my favorite sitcoms in English and noticing how much faster my comprehension improved just by hearing natural conversations. Listening to podcasts or audiobooks is another great way to immerse yourself. There are podcasts on nearly every topic imaginable, so you can find one that interests you. By listening regularly, you get used to different accents, speeds of speaking, and vocabulary. If you're a beginner, start with slow podcasts and gradually increase the speed as you get more comfortable. It's like listening to a conversation in real time, and it helps train your ear for the language. Reading is another effective immersion technique. Read books aloud in English, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. This not only improves your vocabulary, but also enhances your speaking skills. You can start with simple stories, or even short articles online. The more you read aloud, the more your mouth and brain get used to forming English words and sentences. It's a fantastic way to practice pronunciation and improve fluency. You can also surround yourself with English through social media. Follow English-speaking accounts on Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube. Engage with posts, watch videos, and read comments. The more you see English in different contexts, the more you'll understand its usage and flow. Immersion doesn't require a fancy setup or a trip abroad. It's about bringing English into your everyday activities. You can start small and gradually increase your exposure to the language. The more English you hear, see, and practice, the faster you'll improve. It's a simple yet powerful technique that will make learning English feel natural and fun. So, start immersing yourself today, whether it's through movies, podcasts, books, or social media. The world of English is all around you. Chapter 4. Speaking Alone, the Thinking Aloud Technique. One of the most powerful techniques to improve your speaking is speaking alone. In this chapter, I'll introduce you to the thinking aloud technique. This is when you speak your thoughts out loud as you go about your day, helping you think in English. We'll explore how this technique helps with fluency, vocabulary building, and sentence structure. It's a fun way to practice speaking every day and can be done anytime, whether you're walking, cooking, or even sitting at a cafe. When I first learned about the thinking aloud technique, I was a bit skeptical. The idea of speaking out loud to myself seemed strange at first. But once I tried it, I realized just how powerful it could be. The thinking aloud technique is exactly what it sounds like. You speak whatever is on your mind, even if it's just simple observations or thoughts. For example, when I'm walking to work, I might say to myself, "The weather is nice today. The sun is shining. I should take a jacket because it might get cold later." This may seem like small talk, but the more you practice it, the more fluent you become. This technique does wonders for your fluency. It forces you to put your thoughts into words and helps you get comfortable with thinking directly in English. Instead of translating from your native language, you're training your brain to think in English. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes, and soon enough, you'll be able to speak faster and more naturally without pausing to search for words. Another benefit of thinking aloud is vocabulary building. When you speak to yourself, you'll find that certain words or phrases come up repeatedly. This gives you the opportunity to practice using them in different contexts. If you keep thinking and speaking aloud about topics like food, travel, or daily activities, you'll learn how to describe situations and objects more clearly. For example, as I'm cooking, I might say, "I need to chop the onions. I will add some garlic for flavor. The sauce is boiling, and I need to stir it so it doesn't burn." Through this, I'm not just practicing words, I'm practicing how to form complete sentences in real time. This technique also improves sentence structure. As you speak aloud, you start forming more complex thoughts. You'll naturally begin to structure your sentences better as you think through them. It's like creating a conversation with yourself, which helps with the flow of the language. As you practice, you'll find that you start using more varied sentence structures and better grammar. The best part of thinking aloud is that it can be done anywhere. You don't need a conversation partner to practice. You can do it while doing your everyday tasks, cooking dinner, walking to the store, cleaning your room, or even sitting at a cafe. It's a simple and effective way to integrate English into your day without feeling pressured. Just speak your thoughts as if you're telling someone else what you're doing. This technique makes learning feel less like a chore and more like a natural part of your routine. So, whether you're walking, working, or just relaxing at home, try thinking aloud in English. It might feel awkward at first, but over time, it will become second nature. You'll start thinking in English more often, and your speaking skills will improve. It's a small change that can have a big impact on your language learning journey. Keep practicing, and soon enough, you'll notice how much smoother and more confident your speech becomes. Chapter 5. Learning from Conversations with Native Speakers. In this chapter, we'll explore the importance of speaking with native speakers. I'll share personal anecdotes of how speaking with people who are fluent in English has accelerated my learning. You'll learn the benefits of interacting with native speakers, how it challenges your understanding, and how you can adapt to different accents and colloquialisms. We'll also discuss how to find opportunities to have these conversations, even if you're not living in an English-speaking country. One of the most significant turning points in my language learning journey was when I started having conversations with native speakers. Before that, I was stuck in a routine of textbook exercises and listening to language apps, which were helpful but didn't provide the real-life experience I needed. I was familiar with grammar rules and vocabulary, but when it came to actually speaking English in real conversations, I struggled. Then, one day, I had the chance to chat with a native speaker who was visiting my country. I was nervous at first, but I decided to dive in. The conversation was challenging, but it was the best thing that ever happened to my English. I didn't understand everything right away, and I made a few mistakes, but the beauty of speaking with a native speaker is the immediate feedback. They corrected me gently, gave me examples, and explained phrases I hadn't heard before. That experience opened my eyes to how much faster I could improve by simply engaging in real conversations. The key benefit of speaking with native speakers is exposure to natural language. Native speakers use everyday expressions, idioms, and colloquialisms that textbooks often miss. These small details can make a huge difference in your fluency. For example, I remember learning phrases like, "What's up?" and "How's it going?" Simple greetings that aren't typically found in language books. These phrases helped me sound more like a native speaker and less like someone reading from a script. Another benefit of speaking with native speakers is the challenge it provides. Native speakers talk at a natural pace, and they may use vocabulary or expressions you've never encountered. At first, it might be overwhelming, but that's exactly how you grow. These conversations push your listening and speaking skills to the next level. You're forced to adapt to different accents, speech patterns, and informal language. In my experience, this is where the real learning happens. Once you can understand and participate in conversations with native speakers, you'll feel much more confident in any speaking situation. You might be thinking, I don't live in an English-speaking country. How can I find native speakers to talk to? The good news is, you don't need to be in an English-speaking country to practice. There are plenty of online platforms, such as language exchange apps, where you can find native speakers who are willing to chat with you. Websites like HelloTalk, Tandem, and even social media platforms offer opportunities to meet people from around the world and practice your English. These platforms often allow you to set up video or voice calls, giving you the chance to engage in real conversations. If you don't have access to these platforms, you can still find opportunities in your local community. Many cities have language meetups or conversation clubs where people gather to practice languages. You can also try speaking with expats or international students who are living in your area. You might even be able to join online communities, such as forums or Facebook groups, where you can practice speaking with native speakers in a more relaxed setting. The bottom line is that speaking with native speakers is one of the most effective ways to learn English. It challenges you, exposes you to real language, and helps you adapt to different speech patterns and expressions. So, don't be afraid to jump into conversations with native speakers, whether it's online or in person. It may be intimidating at first, but with each conversation, you'll find yourself improving faster than you ever thought possible. Chapter 6. Building vocabulary. Words you use every day. This chapter will be all about building vocabulary through daily interactions. Learning a language is not just about knowing big words. It's about using words you encounter every day. We'll break down how the vocabulary you use at work, school, or even at the grocery store can improve your speaking skills. We'll also explore how to retain new words by using them in your conversations and daily life, making them a permanent part of your English skill set. When I first started learning English, I was focused on memorizing big words. I thought that knowing complex vocabulary would make me sound more fluent. But soon, I realized that fluency doesn't come from using big, fancy words. It comes from being able to communicate easily using the words you encounter every day. In fact, the most useful words in any language are the ones you use most often. Take, for example, the words you use at work or school. If you work in an office, you'll likely need words like meeting, deadline, project, and schedule. If you're a student, words like exam, assignment, class, and discussion are part of your daily vocabulary. These words are essential for communication in your day-to-day life, and they're the words that will help you speak more fluently and with more confidence. The trick to expanding your vocabulary is to pay attention to the words you use daily. Every time you speak to someone, whether it's a colleague, a friend, or a shopkeeper, take note of the words you're using. Write them down in a notebook or an app on your phone. These are the words that matter most. By regularly practicing them, you'll see how quickly they become second nature. For example, I used to struggle with the word invoice. It's a common term in business, but I didn't fully understand how to use it. However, after I started working in a cafe and handling payments, I encountered the word daily. I heard my coworkers use it and started using it myself. The more I said it, the more confident I became. Eventually, I started using invoice in other contexts, and it became a natural part of my vocabulary. Now, I use it effortlessly, without thinking twice. One of the best ways to make new words stick is by using them in real-life conversations. Every time you learn a new word, try to use it as soon as possible in a conversation. For example, if you learn the word menu while ordering food, the next time you're at a restaurant, use it in your conversation. Could I see the menu, please? The more you use a word in context, the more likely it is to stick in your memory. You can also practice vocabulary by making it a part of your daily routine. If you're doing chores at home, for instance, try thinking about what you're doing in English. As you fold clothes, you can say to yourself, I am folding the towels. I need to put these shirts in the drawer. This allows you to incorporate new words into your life in a way that feels natural and unforced. The same applies when you're cooking, cleaning, or running errands. By associating actions with the correct vocabulary, you reinforce your learning. Another great way to build vocabulary is through reading. Whether it's an article, a book, or even an advertisement, reading exposes you to new words you might not encounter in casual conversation. As you read, try to understand the context of the words and how they are used. Don't be afraid to look up unfamiliar words, but try to make an effort to understand their meaning from the context first. The more you read, the more words you will encounter, and the more words you will add to your vocabulary. The key to retaining new words is repetition. Use them often, in different contexts, and make sure to practice them daily. Over time, they will move from your short-term memory to your long-term memory. You'll find that these words become second nature and are automatically a part of your English skill set. Building vocabulary is an ongoing process. By consistently using the words you encounter every day, you will gradually expand your vocabulary and speak more confidently. It's not about memorizing complex words. It's about using the words that will make you a more effective communicator. So, pay attention to the vocabulary around you, use it in your conversations, and watch as your speaking skills improve with each word you add. Chapter 7. Setting Realistic Goals and Tracking Progress. Learning English can feel overwhelming at times. In this chapter, we'll talk about setting realistic goals and how tracking your progress helps you stay motivated. Whether it's learning 5 new words a day or speaking for 10 minutes in English, setting small, achievable goals will keep you on track. You'll also learn how to celebrate your progress, no matter how small it may seem. When I first started learning English, I felt like there was so much to learn. It was easy to feel discouraged by the sheer amount of vocabulary, grammar rules, and phrases I needed to master. At one point, I realized that if I kept thinking of everything I had to learn all at once, I would never get anywhere. That's when I started setting smaller, more manageable goals. Setting realistic goals is crucial to making steady progress. Instead of aiming for fluency overnight, I broke my learning into smaller, more achievable steps. For example, I set a goal to learn 5 new words every day. At first, it seemed small, but as the weeks went by, I saw just how powerful that simple goal was. By the end of the month, I had learned over 150 new words, and each word added more confidence to my vocabulary. This consistent, small effort gave me a sense of accomplishment and made me feel like I was moving forward. It's important to remember that learning English doesn't happen in one big leap. It happens step by step, day by day. That's why setting goals that are both realistic and attainable is key. Whether it's practicing speaking for 10 minutes a day, watching one short video in English, or reading one page of a book, these small steps will accumulate and lead to big improvements over time. The power of tracking your progress cannot be overstated. When you track your goals, you can visually see how far you've come. For example, I started keeping a journal of the words I learned each day. At the end of each week, I'd look back and realize how much I'd learned. This helped keep me motivated, especially during times when I felt like I wasn't making progress as quickly as I wanted. Tracking doesn't have to be complicated. You can use an app, a simple notebook, or even a whiteboard to write down your goals and mark your progress. For instance, after a week of learning 5 new words each day, I could proudly look at my list of 35 words and see how much I had accomplished. The visual reminder of how far I had come was a huge motivator to keep going. Another important part of the process is celebrating your progress, no matter how small. It's easy to get caught up in focusing on what you haven't achieved yet, but it's just as important to celebrate what you have accomplished. Maybe you were able to hold a short conversation in English, or maybe you learned to understand a TV show without subtitles. These are victories worth celebrating. It's these moments that keep you motivated and excited about learning. Sometimes the progress can feel slow, and you might be tempted to give up. But when you set realistic goals and track your progress, you'll see that every step you take brings you closer to fluency. By focusing on the small wins, you build momentum and keep moving forward. In the end, setting goals and tracking your progress isn't just about reaching the end goal of fluency. It's about enjoying the process. It's about taking pride in each word learned, every conversation practiced, and each moment where you push yourself a little further. So, start small, set realistic goals, and track your progress. Celebrate every step along the way, and watch how far you can go. Chapter 8: The Importance of Listening. Speaking is just one part of language learning. In this chapter, we'll discuss the critical role of listening in becoming a fluent English speaker. We'll explore how listening to English, whether through podcasts, audiobooks, or conversations, helps you understand the rhythm, tone, and structure of the language. You'll see how listening can reinforce the words and phrases you use in speaking and help you sound more natural when you talk. When I first started learning English, I focused a lot on speaking. I practiced new words, sentences, and phrases, trying to make my conversation sound perfect. But soon I realized that speaking alone wasn't enough to become fluent. Something was missing: understanding the language when it's spoken by others. That's when I discovered how crucial listening is in the language learning process. Listening plays a vital role in helping you understand the flow of English. It teaches you the rhythm, tone, and natural pauses that are often absent in textbooks. For example, when you hear a native speaker saying something like, "How's it going?" It's not just about recognizing the words, it's about hearing the way they say it, the speed, and the casual tone they use. Listening regularly to real conversations will expose you to these nuances, which will help you sound more natural when you speak. Listening also helps you improve your pronunciation. As you listen to native speakers, you begin to pick up on subtle sounds that you might not have noticed before. For example, I used to struggle with words that have silent letters, like night, or psychology. But after listening to how they were pronounced in conversations, I began to speak them more clearly. The more you listen, the more you will start to notice how certain words and sounds are used in real conversations, and you'll start to imitate them naturally. Podcasts, audiobooks, and TV shows are great ways to expose yourself to natural English speech. Start with content that interests you, whether it's a podcast about technology, movies, or even comedy. Listening to content you enjoy will help you stay engaged, and you'll begin to pick up new vocabulary and phrases in context. It's not just about hearing the words, but understanding how they fit together in everyday language. For example, you might hear the phrase, "It's a piece of cake," and understand that it means something is very easy. Hearing it used in real conversations makes it easier for you to remember and use in your own speech. Conversations with native speakers are also an excellent way to practice listening. The challenge here is that people speak much faster than audio lessons or textbooks, and they may use slang or informal language. However, this is where you truly start to improve. Listening to people speak in real time forces you to focus and adapt quickly, and over time, your understanding improves. If you don't understand something right away, it's okay. Ask them to repeat it or explain it in a different way. The more you practice this, the more you'll understand, and you'll begin to feel more comfortable in real-life conversations. Listening can also help you grasp the structure of English. You'll hear how sentences are built, how questions are formed, and how the language flows in everyday situations. This reinforces what you've learned in grammar and vocabulary and helps you internalize the language structure so you don't have to consciously think about it when you speak. Ultimately, listening makes you more familiar with the language. It helps you understand how English sounds, how it's used in different contexts, and how to apply it in your own conversations. When you combine listening with speaking, you create a complete learning experience. So, make listening a daily habit. Whether you're listening to a podcast during your commute, watching a movie in English, or having a conversation with a friend, make sure you're actively listening. The more you listen, the better your understanding will become, and you'll notice that your speaking skills will improve as well. Listening truly is the key to becoming a fluent, natural English speaker. Chapter 9. Overcoming plateaus in your learning journey. Everyone hits a learning plateau at some point. In this chapter, we'll talk about how to push through those moments when you feel stuck. I'll share some personal experiences of times when I felt like my progress slowed down and how I overcame those moments by changing my approach, setting new challenges, and stepping out of my comfort zone. You'll learn how to keep your motivation high, even when things seem difficult. When I first started learning English, everything seemed to progress smoothly. Every day I learned new words, formed better sentences, and spoke with more confidence. But after a few months, I hit a wall. My progress slowed down, and I felt like no matter how hard I tried, I wasn't improving as quickly as I used to. It was frustrating, and I began to question whether I was ever going to reach the level of fluency I dreamed of. Hitting a plateau is normal in any learning journey. Whether you're learning a language, a new skill, or a hobby, There will always be moments when it feels like you're not moving forward. The key is to not let those moments discourage you. In fact, hitting a plateau is often a sign that you're ready for the next level of growth. It's just a matter of finding new ways to push through and keep moving forward. One of the first things I did when I hit a plateau was change my approach. I realized that I had been practicing the same things over and over again, and it was starting to feel repetitive. So, I decided to shake things up. Instead of sticking to my usual routine, I started setting new challenges for myself. I signed up for a language exchange, where I spoke with native English speakers who challenged me to use new vocabulary and express myself in more complex ways. This helped me break free from my comfort zone and push past the feeling of stagnation. Another strategy that helped me was setting smaller, more specific goals. Instead of aiming for broad goals like speak better English, I focused on smaller, measurable objectives. For example, I set a goal to improve my pronunciation or learn 10 new words every week. These small goals made it easier to track my progress, and every time I achieved one, I felt a renewed sense of motivation. Sometimes, stepping outside of your comfort zone can also help reignite your motivation. I remember when I felt frustrated by my slow progress, I decided to take an English-speaking class in a completely different setting. I joined a public speaking group where I had to give short talks in English. It was scary, but it forced me to think and speak on the spot, which helped me improve my fluency and confidence. Stepping into new challenges like this can be intimidating, but it's often just what you need to break through that plateau. Another important lesson I learned was that progress isn't always linear. Some weeks, I made huge strides in my English, while other weeks, I felt like I wasn't improving at all. The key is to stay consistent, even when progress feels slow. I kept reminding myself that small, consistent actions add up over time. Even if I didn't see immediate results, I knew that each day I practiced brought me one step closer to my goal. Lastly, I learned to celebrate even the smallest victories. When I pushed through a difficult conversation, when I understood a TV show without subtitles, or when I learned a new word, I celebrated those moments. Celebrating small wins helped me stay motivated and kept my spirits high, even when things felt tough. In the end, overcoming plateaus in your learning journey is about perseverance and adaptability. Change your approach, set new challenges, and step outside of your comfort zone. Keep your goals specific and measurable, and remind yourself that progress, no matter how slow, is still progress. When you hit a plateau, don't stop. Push through, celebrate your small wins, and keep going. With time and effort, you'll break through that plateau and reach new heights in your learning journey. Chapter 10. Celebrating your English journey. In our final chapter, we'll reflect on how far you've come in your English learning journey. I'll share the importance of celebrating each milestone, no matter how big or small. We'll also discuss how continuing to use English every day, after achieving a certain level of fluency, will keep you improving and help you master the language in ways you never thought possible. You'll leave this chapter with a renewed sense of purpose and excitement to keep speaking English every day. When I look back at where I started, barely able to string a sentence together in English, I am amazed at how far I've come. I used to be shy about speaking, constantly worried about making mistakes, and unsure of my ability to communicate clearly. But now, I speak confidently. I can express myself easily, and I understand English in ways that I never thought possible. This progress didn't happen overnight. It was the result of consistent practice, overcoming challenges, and most importantly, celebrating every step along the way. One of the most important lessons I've learned in my journey is the value of celebrating milestones, no matter how small they seem. Each new word you learn, every sentence you master, and every conversation you have is a victory. It's easy to get caught up in the bigger picture and focus on what you haven't achieved yet, but it's equally important to acknowledge how far you've come. When you look back and realize that you can now hold a full conversation in English, understand a movie without subtitles, or write an email in English without needing to check every word, those moments are worth celebrating. Celebrating your progress helps reinforce the idea that learning English is a journey, not a race. There will always be new goals to achieve, but every achievement, no matter how small, deserves recognition. When I reached a point where I felt comfortable speaking English daily, I took time to reflect on how much I had grown. I celebrated by rewarding myself with something I enjoyed, whether it was watching an English movie or treating myself to a nice meal. These small celebrations helped me stay motivated and reminded me that learning a language is a rewarding process, not just an end goal. But the journey doesn't stop once you reach a certain level of fluency. In fact, that's when the real mastery begins. Continuing to use English every day, even after you've reached a comfortable level, is crucial to maintaining and improving your skills. Language learning is a lifelong journey, and the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. At this stage, you can push yourself further by challenging yourself with more complex conversations, reading more advanced books, or even writing essays or articles in English. I remember a time when I felt like I had mastered English, but then I realized that there's always something new to learn. The beauty of the language is in its depth and variety. Every day there's an opportunity to learn new vocabulary, understand a different accent, or discover a new way of expressing yourself. I started seeking out conversations with more advanced speakers and diving into English content that challenged me. This constant exposure and practice ensured that my skills continued to grow. At the end of the day, it's not just about becoming fluent. It's about using the language in a way that feels natural and authentic to you. Whether it's speaking with friends, watching movies, or even traveling to English-speaking countries, continuing to use English every day will ensure that you keep improving. You'll find that the more you use the language, the more it becomes a part of who you are. As you finish this chapter, I want you to feel excited about your English journey. Reflect on how much you've already achieved, and know that there's still so much ahead of you. Celebrate each milestone along the way, and don't forget that the key to mastery is daily practice and continuous learning. The road to fluency is never truly complete. It's an ongoing adventure. Keep speaking English, keep challenging yourself, and most importantly, enjoy the process. The best is yet to come. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the magic of speaking English every day. I hope you found these tips helpful and inspiring. Now don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave a comment below, letting me know what part of your English learning journey excites you the most. Keep practicing, keep speaking, and remember, every word brings you one step closer to fluency. See you in the next video.